Hey guys, I don't really know how to start off this video or really what I want to talk about this video. Um, I just want to kind of talk to the void and get some of my thoughts off my chest and get them off my head. And yep, so let's get into it. Basically, right now, I feel crazy going through modernity. Modernity is absolutely absurd. It is absurd the people that we're around and what our culture and our society tells us and values and tells us that is good. Consumerism, for one. I just cannot wrap my mind around the people that think buying stuff is going to fulfill their lives, right? Like, you guys have to understand, just because you buy the newest sweatshirt made from the name brands, whatever, a Gucci headband, I don't know, Gucci socks, like, your life will not marginally improve. It will not get better. It won't. You might have cool new socks, but nobody gives a shit. Okay? Nothing in your life will change. And that's where I think we got lied to, not necessarily just by our parents, but just by the way that society was set up in general. I think boomers were the worst off of it all. Boomers were the first ones where consumerism really, really took hold. And you can understand it as a way that the boomers, grew up almost in a time of scarcity and then lived the rest of their lives in economic prosperity, right? So there's a lot of boomers out there that are hoarding stuff. I know people, I've had family members that hoard. And I think this is a reaction from their times growing up in scarcity environments, right? Like, there is nothing right now as a modern American that I need besides food, water, place to sleep, roof over my head, right? The problem becomes when the stuff that you're buying, people realize that it's getting worse and shittier, whatever. That's a whole different topic of conversation. The problem becomes when you can't afford the necessities, when you can't afford to have a roof over your head, or you can't afford the gas or the groceries or driving to work each day. Like, this is when the breaking point happens. And I think that we're not far from that, truly. A lot of my Gen Z friends, a lot of them are struggling, and this isn't a unique experience. I'm struggling myself, right? I'm trying to make it out. I'm working two jobs right now, and the prospect of moving out of my parents' house on two jobs, I have a degree, two jobs and a degree, and the prospect of moving out of my parents' house is just, oh my gosh. I think I did the math on it. It was like 65, 70% of my wage would go directly to housing, which is unsustainable and absurd. It shouldn't even be expected. And I don't really know. I don't know the solution to it, right? I'm not blackpilling because I think at the in the end of it all, I'm going to be fine. I think I have survival skills. I know how to use a gun. I know how to get clean water. I know how to get food. I know how to grow food. I think I'm well off. But the 90% of people who aren't, that's where that's where shit hits the fan. These people are not in a good spot to be self-sustainable. And sustainability is going to be priority in the future. We have to understand that when the global markets or when the global supply chains all come crashing down, a small disruption, look at COVID. If you have a small disruption of a global supply chain, everything can change and everything will change. You just need to be prepared. And don't be one of those people that are buying, I need fucking plates and thousands of rounds of ammunition. Don't get me wrong, you need ammo. But don't be the LARPer. Don't be the guy that's the doomsday prepper that buys a bunch of shit that's going to expire in 2, 3 years just to buy it, right? That's another form of consumerism. You're going to get nowhere. That will not fulfill your life. Figure out ways to be self-sustainable. Something that's really calling me right now is homesteading. Man, I think that's very natural to the human condition, and I think it's very fulfilling in everyday life. The beef that I have with modernity is the fact that it is such a dehumanizing system. And Ted Kaczynski talks about this. If you've ever read, the Big Bad Unabomber's Manifesto, he makes some very valid points about industrialization and about how the future of industrialization will reduce humans to a cog in the machine. And I think on a intuitive basis and on like a soul level, that the majority of people who are operating in modernity, that are working their 9 to 5, that you see on the street that are basically drones, right? I think the majority of these people understand in their soul that they have been reduced to a cog. And I think that's why people are so mentally ill, is because the soul has no way to balance this out. The soul doesn't know what to do with itself, right? We are removed from spirituality. We worship the machine that we make up. We worship the global machine that we are a part of. And that same machine that Ted Kaczynski talked about, he also talked about how the longer this machine was able to persist and perpetuate itself, the worse and worse off we would get. And I think that is something that you can see right now. Use Gen X and millennials as an example, okay? It got marginally worse as Gen X moved on and continued working and put money in their 401k to retire, while the year of retirement kept getting pushed back, and eventually the same thing's going to happen to Gen Z. We're probably not going to be able to retire, let's be honest. And if you put your money in the 401k and the stock market, well, guess what? Your money's going to be worth nothing in 20 years. And that's another thing that old people just don't get, right? I heard something, I don't remember who said it or where I heard it from, but I heard in times of crisis, the younger generation cannot look to the older generation for guidance because they don't get it. They lived in different conditions than we do. They operate under different rules than we do. They don't have a theory of mind for the way that society operates. And for an example, I was talking with my father and one of his friends, it was actually my godfather, about the dating crisis and how many people in my generation are just struggling, despite some of them being very suitable people, right? Like good traits and whatnot. Well, anyways, I brought up the point about dating apps and how when everything is filtered through dating apps. Okay, if you were to take monkeys and put them in a cage, put them in a really big cage, you got 100 monkeys there or whatever. And if you were to alter the way that they mated and they had children, they would freak out and stop having kids too, which is exactly what we're doing, right? You have to understand, we are animals down to a biological level, right? We like to think that we have different urges and desires than animals, but the only thing that separates us from animals is morality. And in my personal experience, it's Christian morality. But my point being, if you completely alter the way that an entire species mates and forms relationships and bonds with people, there is no telling the consequences of that. Now, when I was telling this to my dad and his friend, they just said, as many old people would do, and this is why you can't turn to them in times of crises, oh, well, we had dating apps in the 90s. Yeah, but fucking 90% of people weren't on it. Like, that's not how you met people, right? You didn't meet people, you didn't form relationships on the internet the same way that you do now. That is, in my experience and in my generation's experience, it is almost explicitly formed on the internet. You will not make friends without the internet. Face-to-face relationships and face-to-face communities are just gone, man. Gone. But they don't get that. They don't get that. How could they, right? It was different for them. But they will be quick to tell you that it was the same. So you cannot expect them to understand. The problem isn't just limited to the dating app thing. If you talk to them about the economy or about housing or about buying a car or anything like that, they'll tell you, well, just work hard, you go in, shake that CEO and shake his hand, and he'll give you the job on the spot. Like, come on, dude. Come on, dude. I mean, I applied for like 150 fucking jobs, and I got 3 interviews, fresh out of college. Like, something is not right. Something's not right. There's power imbalances in this system, and they're dispossessing young, capable people. And when you have a disaffected group of young people, that is a very dangerous group to have in your society. A very, very dangerous group to have in your society. And I think the only thing that's really stopping all this shit from crashing down at this point is the economy and how prosperous we are right now and how rich our country is. But what happens when the dollar declines, or what happens when the stock market crashes? And we have to cash checks that we wrote fucking years ago, right? I don't even know the debt levels now. It's like 37. It might be it's probably in the 40s now. We're probably 40 trillion something dollars in debt. Okay? Uh, we can't pay that back, and we know we can't pay it back. And the whole Federal Reserve System is a fucking joke. It's a scam. The Federal Reserve loans us money that we pay back in interest to them with our money. How does that make sense? It doesn't. And that's not to mention that there is nothing that backs our currency. We print money. I mean, it's backed by the full faith of the United States federal government. But nobody has faith in them. Nobody has faith in them. So we'll see how that turns out. You know, I'm a big physical assets guy. I believe in gold. I believe in buying land, silver, whatever. Maybe even copper at this point. Copper's probably going to go up. I guess the whole point of this is to say, do not be reliant on the system. The system is not reliant on you. If you die tomorrow, your company, your nameless, faceless corporation will replace you. But your loved ones can never replace you. Your loved ones can't replace mom. They can't replace dad, son, daughter. They can't replace you. So then we have to ask, why am I spending so much time doing something that I don't necessarily see the benefit of besides a check that's deposited ACH to my account every other week, right? That is the only benefit that I'm getting from it. They're taking my time and then giving me money, right? And we all sell our times at different rates depending on what we do and how good at it we are. So then you have to ask yourself, is my time worth $16, $15, $20 an hour, right? Is it? Is it? Especially now with housing and everything becoming more expensive. Your time is better suited loving your family, spending time with your family, getting prepared for the future, right? That's why I talked about homesteading earlier in the video. Man, I really think that's something I'm going to check out, right? I love working with my hands, and I love doing stuff that I can see the benefit of right there in front of me. And when I'm working my job, I don't necessarily see the benefit of it, right? And I know there's millions of people out there that feel the same exact way. And that's another a thing about modernity. It goes with the cog in the system, right? A cog turns, it doesn't see the end result, right? If you have a bunch of gears interconnected to each other, one gear turns, the other turns, they don't necessarily see what happens after that. So that's kind of where we are as a society. We're like a hive mind it's a machine, man. It's a machine. I would love to see an end to it. I would love to see people be people again. And people are people. You just have to find the right ones. But it's very upsetting seeing some of the lost souls wandering around. All we can do for them is pray for them and pray that they get what they need. Not necessarily what they want, but what they need. And hope that they can see the light. Another thing it boils down to is the spiritual war that is going on right in front of our eyes. I am under the belief that we inhabit this earth with demons, and that demons walk among us. I mean, the world is Satan's playground. He operates here. This is his domain. And if you want to talk modern issues, I think all the people involved with Epstein and I don't even need to go into detail on that. Everybody's getting well versed on that. But all the details that are going into that, all the people involved in that, they are inhabited by demons. You have somebody like Leslie Wexner who's going to come out and say that he is inhabited by a demon, right? These people are evil. And that's where I think that Christians need to stand up. The church needs to stand up. We need to put our foot down and say what is right and what's going to happen. We are not going to put up with demons perverting the teachings of the Bible for their benefit. And that's exactly what's happening. Love thy neighbor has been pushed to its logical conclusion. Okay? There is some spiritual underlying message to that, but comparing that to somebody who comes into our country illegally and takes advantage of our system as a neighbor. These people are not our neighbors. These people are invaders. First off, that's a terrible argument. And second off, the people that are making that argument don't believe in Jesus and don't believe in Christian doctrine anyways. So take their arguments with a grain of salt. I think it's very important to recognize these people as demons because as Christians, we should not make amends with evil. And I think these people who are operating within our society to undermine what our forefathers have built under Christ with Christian morals and a Christian foundation, what they are working to undermine is demonic. They call us evil and they call us all sorts of names while also wanting to move to our country and wanting to partake in our systems that we built. Okay? And it's not even the people that are moving to this country. It's people that already occupy our country that want it to fail and want to destroy it. It's disgusting. So I know this is a completely different issue than what I was talking about earlier. And I told you at the beginning of this video I was kind of just going to be babbling on, rambling a little bit, yelling to the void, whatever. I think it's better this way. I think I like talking. It makes it more natural, makes it more fluent, makes you feel like you're having a conversation with me. But I digress. Christians have to stand up. I mean, there's no bottom line to it. It's either stand up now or become extinct. And a lot of what I believe modern Christianity gets caught in is the suffering aspect of Christianity. Like, I understand when people say Christianity is a slave morality at times, because I've come across a lot of Christians that are afraid to stand up, that think wielding power in general is evil. But if you look at the history of the church, how did Christianity spread to the West in the first place? Okay? And many times it was at the end of a sword, because we found people doing pagan worships or pagan rituals where they'd sacrifice stuff or sacrifice people, and we found that evil, and we said either you convert or die, because that was the doctrine of Christianity, to confront evil, to stand up to it. I have nothing to fear, for Christ is with me. I have nothing to fear. And now that Christians in the real world are faced with evil, they're murdering babies. They want the right to murder babies. 60 million Gen Z was aborted. A third of my generation was aborted. How is that not evil, right? Is that not demonic? Are they not worshiping these children at the altar of Moloch or some other demonic entity? That's exactly what's happened. But when we're faced with it, we cower because we can't assume power because it's evil. How? How? Power is a zero-sum game in this regard. If we don't wield power, the demons will. And without wielding power, you are conceding that power to demons. So, I beg you, as if anybody's listening to this, which I'm not even sure I'll get any views on this, but whatever. If you're listening to this and you're a Christian, take a hold of your own life, first and foremost, and use it to influence others. This is a spiritual war, and we are here to save many souls, but we must protect our people and our heritage, and that is built on the foundation of Christianity. Now, I know I'm just got done talking about Christianity, but I also want to talk a little bit about race relations here and the way that they weaponize our own country against white people, right? I had a conversation with a girl I work with. Her family's from Mexico City, and I made it a point to try to get her to understand that the United States is my home country. That if this country fails, I can't go anywhere. That white people can't go anywhere. And if, God forbid, if the United States goes under and they want to kill white people, like the kulaks, okay, if they want us dead, they're going to try everything in their power to do that. And another thing I made a point, when white people become a minority in this country, do you really think that there's going to be DEI programs or minority scholarships for whites? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. These people hate us. These people hate white people, specifically white Christians. And I've been told my entire life as a white Christian man that I am the root of all evil in this nation, in this society, that it's my fault our country's failing. But the tide is turning for Gen Z. The tide's turning. My entire life I've had practice with HR-type women in the school system telling me how to believe, what to think. I've been told I can't participate in certain discussions because I'm a white man. Oh, it's parody. It's parody. It's like a South Park episode, right? South Park sucks now, but it's a joke. It's a joke. We have the worst timeline. We truly do. And our school system's broke, and they push all this garbage shit about white people being bad. White people built the school system. White people built this country. The lie that this nation's built by immigrants. This nation was built by frontiersmen and pioneers, trailblazers, builders. It's not built by some fucking Somalian coming to our country and taking advantage of the already in place systems or defrauding our welfare system. Like, you cannot compare these people to my ancestors. And it is disgusting that you would do so. This needs to be a highly contended point by people, right? Especially white people. White people need to come out and stand against this type of rhetoric. But white solidarity has been destroyed. And we could talk about why it's been destroyed, but that would have to be a whole deep dive into certain things I'm not willing to say on YouTube. All right, maybe I'll set up a Rumble or some shit to talk about stuff like that later. But it's insane. It's insane. Every other group acts on in-group preferences and hires the people of their own race. I mean, look at Indians. Indians do this all the time, right? The H-1B program is a fucking disaster. Disaster for this country. But they're replacing white people, right? And the two choices you get with Democrats and Republicans are, do you want to be replaced by illegal, Southern American, Latin American people, or do you want to be replaced by legal Indians, right? I mean, there's no option where you don't get replaced. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. We have to have Indians. There's nobody in this country who's skilled enough to fucking work a computer. Sorry about it. Got to get Indians, right? It's crazy. It's insane. And be on the lookout for stuff. Be on the lookout for this stuff because it happens everywhere. It happens everywhere, and I'm tired of acting like it's not, and I'm tired of turning a blind eye to this stuff, which I've been awake. I've been seeing this stuff. I would say COVID really radicalized me, but I knew something was wrong in like 2019. I guess that was when they first dropped the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, but I knew something was really wrong there. I remember looking into Pizzagate. I guess that was 2016 during the election. Man, all this stuff has really gotten me to this point today. It really has. So, I think that's probably all I'm going to talk about today. I know it's been a lot, and I've been kind of yapping and rambling. But I'm having a lot of fun. I'm having fun sitting here talking about this, and I think I'm going to try to make more videos in this type of form, and maybe I'll form a community or something around it. So, anyways, appreciate y'all. If you've made it this far, please like, subscribe, whatever. Leave a comment, say what's up, whatever. But I'll see y'all later. As always, I hope your family's blessed. Praise the Lord, and love you guys. See y'all later.